Yes, today I want to talk to you about the most important things any photographer should learn. So, stay tuned. Christmas is over, and worst case scenario, if you're not that kind of religious person, I hope at least it made people think a little bit about each other and be a little more peaceful. As usual, World Press Photo of the Year has something to do with tragedy. I really don't understand why every year this is the same issue. Best photos has to do with people's tragedies, with war, with disaster, with I don't know what. I think they could change a little bit, not give so many attention to the bad things that are happening in the world, and a little more attention to the good things. And now everybody's making plans for this new year to come. For me, actually, this is the very easy part. I will definitely continue to study and try to become better at what I'm doing. And I will at least try to create new memories for me and for my family as often as possible. Because I truly believe that the real value, the real things that we can leave behind for our loved ones are memories. Because things, cars, homes, money, whatsoever, you lose, you spend, you sell, you do whatever you want to do with all this stuff. But what you really keep are memories. Nobody can steal them from you. You cannot sell them. You just can share them, and you can enjoy them as often as you want. And I really believe this is for me. This is the most important thing that you can do for your family and your loved ones, and for your kids if you have some. To understand how great photographers work, I tried to figure out what they all have in common. And I made a list of 7 items that I found equal on every photographer that I studied. So this is my list of the 7 most important things every photographer should learn. Number 1, an exceptional good photographer knows his gear. Well, that sounds easy, but if you think that today, every year, or every couple of months, there is some new feature that is included in a new camera, that you spend thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars for your equipment, and then you get that machine, and there's so much stuff built in that you rarely get the time to really sit down and explore and understand everything that's going on inside your camera body. But I truly believe, and I understood, that you need to understand what features your camera has. You need to understand your equipment so that you can fully take advantage of all these features. Right? I will not even try to explain everything, every feature that a camera body has. It doesn't matter if it's a point and shoot, if it's a DSLR, whatever, if it's a freaking phone that you use for photography. Understand the features, understand your equipment so that you can fully take advantage of it. Number 2, understand exposure. What actually does exposure mean? You will find tons of tutorials about setting up your camera, about exposure settings, about this and that. But let's take it a step backwards and try to say it as easy as possible. Exposure for me is basically, how do I want my picture to look like? Or what? Okay, so if I want a picture to be a little darker, I underexpose it. If I want it to be a little brighter, I overexpose the image. If I want to find the right exposure, well, then I check up the settings of my camera and see how all the features that I have to take care of, which is shutter speed, aperture, of the lens I'm using, time, and then I get somehow a mix of all that. Then I have to figure out what kind of exposure I get for the picture that I want to make. Basically, just learn what you have to do to manipulate your settings to get the image the way you want it to be. Okay? Shutter speed, ISO, aperture. The next thing is a little more complicated, but not that much. Master light. I don't believe that we will ever be able to master light, but we can try to get close. Where to begin? Well, let's get out. Go outside and find light. Go outside in different times of the day, and a cloudy day, and a rainy day, and a sunny day, in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, at night. Look for light. Look for different light sources. Look for rebounces. Look for reflections. Look for light in its so many different ways, and try to understand how it works. When you come back inside, first try out ambient light. Use window light. Then you add a candle. Then you add a fluorescent light. Then you add you seek for different light sources and check them out, each one of them. Try, expose differently, and see what happens and memorize it. Try to memorize it and try to use this knowledge that you gain to your advantage for the next photo shoot, you have. Use it. Use all this experience, but you have to make this experience first. Number 4, depth of field. What is depth of field? Or most of people talk about shallow depth of field. I'm not talking about technique. I'm not talking about lenses. I'm not talking about wide aperture. These things you know, or you should know. But the thought about how to use it and when to use it is it's sometimes more important than how do you produce it. How do you make it? Again, experiment, try out, think what you're doing, and think what kind of emotion you want, what kind of impact you want with your picture on your viewer, and then decide on purpose how do you want and how do you make, how do you expose, and how do you treat the depth of field of your image. Make it a conscious decision for you and for your creative work in photography. Item number 5 on my list is perspective. When you position yourself to make a picture, that's absolutely essential for your perspective. But sometimes just a little step further left or a little step further right, or you go down on your knees, or you step up a ladder, and you change a little bit this perspective, you achieve a totally different result and a much more impressive and impactful picture than you ever thought. Perspective, experiment, try out, study. Take a subject and make hundreds and hundreds of different pictures of the same object from different perspectives, and try to understand how it impacts on you. And the way it impacts on you, it will impact on your viewer as well. So, and put this into your head. Practice, practice, practice perspective. Number 6 item on my list is composition. You decide what is in your frame and what is not. And whenever you decide what's in your frame, think about why it is in your frame and why do you want to have it in there. It doesn't matter if it's an object, if it is a light, a reflection, if it's a line, if whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. It is important that whenever you compose your image, that everything that is within that picture makes sense and contributes to the story you want to tell. If it doesn't contribute, it doesn't have to be in the frame. If it's not essential to your story, let it out. Less sometimes, or most of the times, can be more. And my 7th and final point on my list of what makes a great photographer is post-production. I am the kind of photographer that tries to get his image right out the camera, but I shoot raw. So whenever I get my camera, my files onto my computer, they're always flat. So I have to tweak a little bit here and there so that I can get this image back that I saw when I was there making the shot. This is basically my post-production. Every digital photographer needs to understand post-production software and needs to know at least the basics of photo editing. So take some time, get yourself either a free program or a paid program, a more professional program, software, a more professional software, and learn photo editing. At least the basics. Round it up. Know your equipment, know exposure, master light, understand depth of field, perspective, composition, and post-production. Learn these issues and become the best photographer that you can become. Thank you very much for being here. I hope I wasn't boring. It is all very complex. If you couldn't follow me at one moment, sometimes I can't follow myself. Just leave a comment down below. If you have any doubts, any questions, ask me. If you like what you see, please press the like button below. If you didn't subscribe to the channel yet, this is the perfect moment to do so. If you subscribe, don't forget to press that little bell there on the side so that you can receive a notification every time I post a new video. It's almost 2018. I don't believe I will be posting another video before that, so here are my very best wishes for you for this coming year, that you might succeed in all what you're trying. If you have some dreams, I hope they become reality. Make something out of your life. It all depends on you and just you. It's not as bad as it sounds. Life is great. Enjoy it the most. And I'll be back 2018. I hope I see you here too. Take good care. Love and kisses.